What's up, guys? My name is Yoshko, and this is Brandon. We're the owners of Kraken Fitness, and today we're going to be going over why we don't deadlift. We don't do regular conventional barbell deadlifts. We don't do sumo or anything like that. In fact, we use a different bar, but we'll get into that in a second. The reason why I don't deadlift anymore is because it's just not that functional when it comes to sport in general. And for most people, it's not even that important to do because there's other things that you can do instead of barbell deadlifts. So I was powerlifting for years, and I used to always do a mixed grip like this. And it caused so many muscular imbalances. And now it's to the point that I regret it. It just wasn't worth it for me to do barbell deadlifts like this over and over and over again because now I'm just completely rotated like this. And it's gonna be almost impossible, probably impossible, to fix this. So that's why I use a different deadlift, which we'll get into in a second. But Brandon also doesn't do regular barbell deadlifts as well.
Yes, so for those who don't know, I am a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and the reason why I go to the gym and get stronger through my hips is for that. I'm not really gonna compete in powerlifting ever, or weightlifting ever. I just use it as a tool to get stronger and do injury prevention reasons. So I'm sure like you and everyone else, when you first go to the gym, you're gonna see people come up and they're gonna use a barbell just because it's such a traditional piece of equipment. And they think that's the only thing that they can use to like load up. But once I've actually switched over to the hex bar, we avoid any of those imbalances from the shoulders from the mixed grip. It's easier to stack your spine, and you're just gonna get way more bang for your buck through hip hinging movements, which is a pattern that we're planning to strengthen anyways. Right? So just to kind of give an example, when we're going through our regular conventional deadlift, the things that we're trying to target is the posterior chain. So your glutes, your hamstrings, and again, a little bit more of your upper back through stability.
And your lower back as well?
Yeah, exactly. The only thing is there's a lot of technique involved in this, right? So if you've ever been a power lifter, you'll know the further that the bar gets away from your shins and you try to lift it up from here, the harder it is for you to lift. So like powerlifters spend years and years and years perfecting their technique where they can keep that bar right up against their shins as they go up into that deadlift and keep it as close to your center of mass. Whereas when we're doing in the hex bar, you're going to be able to keep that bar already kind of in your center of mass. It's just where the bar is already situated. You'll notice his hands and his arms are directly underneath his shoulders already. So we kind of take a little bit of the technique part out of it, and because we do that, you can lift so much more on a regular basis than you would if you were doing a barbell deadlift.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with the barbell deadlift, it is a sport-specific movement. This is for powerlifting. And a lot of people think that like it's functional, but realistically, you're never gonna have your hands in front of you like this and lifting something off the ground. This is just for powerlifting. And not to say that it has no place in the gym. We still have our clients do these regular conventional deadlifts all the time, every single day. But it's not something that you have to do, where the fitness industry went into this extreme and said that if you're not barbell deadlifting, you're wasting your time. If you're doing sumo, you're wasting your time, you know, but everybody's built differently and everybody has different goals, and you don't have to do the barbell deadlift. I don't do the barbell deadlift. And I don't recommend doing the barbell deadlift, not for everyone. If you don't like that, sue me.
Yeah. Why don't we talk a little bit about like hip and back positioning? Because we've already kind of like talked about being in the center of the mass of the bar, right? Of keeping the center of mass close to you. Let's talk about like where your back is positioned in a barbell deadlift versus a hex bar deadlift. So when you're doing like a barbell deadlift, especially if you don't have great mobility of your backside, you're gonna notice that you're gonna need to have a little bit more forward knee translation, which is actually gonna take a lot of the tension off the backside here. On top of that, it's very hard to keep a very good neutral spine with the barbell deadlift. So most people are actually gonna have to like elevate it to get into a pretty good hip and back position, especially if you're first starting out. Now, where if we go to a hex bar deadlift, especially if you have one with a little bit of higher handles here, you'll notice his hip position can be a little bit higher, and you'll notice his spine is still fairly stacked. One kind of tip here to prevent him from, again, just going into his knees is making sure his shins are still fairly vertical so you can keep the tension on the backside. That way we're still patterning that hinging movement that you would with the barbell deadlift, but just with a better positioning for most people in general.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much all we wanted to cover in the video. But essentially, it's just that you don't have to do this. You don't have to do a conventional deadlift for you to see results in the gym. So yeah.
Find the adaptations, like don't just overly romanticize about the traditional pieces of equipment. Find something that fits best for you and whatever your training goals that you want to achieve.